Greetings. If you saw my previous video on repairing battery damage to a Roku remote, then you probably remember this scene. What was going on in that one was the batteries had leaked out on it and got back on a printed circuit board. A little WD-40 cleaning that battery acid off solved that problem. But I noticed this during the rebuild. You can see the two on the right are missing the centers. The one on the left I have already repaired. So basically that's what the repair would look like. Obviously it depends on your skill in cutting very small circles. A good button is like we see at the top of the screen now. The conductive film is continuous and unbroken. Not so the case across the middle. What was going on here was that the scrolling action with the left to right buttons was continuous, meaning when you released a button it kept right on scrolling. The material was flaking off and bridging between the electronic circuit and the button itself, which means the button basically stayed on all the time. Obviously, if most of the material flaked off eventually, the button would not work and you could not scroll left or right. As you can see, these three buttons, which constitute the enter button, the left button, and the right button for the screen, do have most of the material missing from the centers. My solution to this was to use some copper, very, very thin sheet, and an adhesive to hold the little copper in place. Here's a larger piece of the copper foil that I used. In essence, this came off as shielding on an old projector that was discarded, and I kept the foil copper because I thought I might add some uses for it, and obviously I did. To use this, all I was really doing was taking the foil, pounding it down flat, using a hammer and a mandrel, and then cutting it in as neat of round circles as I possibly could that would match inside the little holes I had to fill the surface where there was material that flaked off. This is the adhesive I'm using. This particular tube came from Lowe's. You probably could find it definitely at the Home Depot, hardware store, or maybe even Walmart. Okay, here's the underside of the buttons again, and the two little replacement copper pieces that will be going in to replace the badly damaged button surfaces. What I'll install this was put a little dab of glue on the end of the wire, dab it back into each one of the holes to get a good coating on the surface here. The instructions actually specify to let it coat both sides and let it sit up for 10 minutes. And once I get a good coating on these, I'll set them in place and hold them in place with my fingers till they start to take a tack.
What I'm doing now is putting some small blobs of glue on a metal application wand and then putting it in the center of each of the buttons that I'm going to repair. It's real important to make sure that when you press in the copper or aluminum button replacements that you don't get any adhesive on the front of the buttons. Otherwise, of course, the button will not make contact and your repair will not work. Now I'm going to place those little copper roundings right in the center of the glue and in the center of the button recesses. Take your time here, make sure it's completely centered, make sure that none of the copper intrudes back out of the round recess, otherwise the button may hang up and of course your repair will not work. Now I'll just press them lightly into place with that same metal wand that I've removed the original glue from and hold them for a few seconds. Again, take your time, make sure they're completely centered in the recesses. Here's the finished repair. Hope you found this useful and it can help you out. Take care and we'll see you on a future video.